Now here's another big one. USB 3.1 and Thunderbolt are emerging into the AV technology sector. How will that affect AV connectivity? Marty, is that something you can shed some light on?
I think Steve's your man for that one, I think.
Are you a Thunderbolt man, are you?
Oh, I don't know about that. There's the question, isn't it?
I mean, we were saying earlier, weren't we, that 3.1 was something I wasn't aware of. It's actually becoming quite important.
Yeah, USB 3.1. It's still quite a confused sort of subject there in itself, because it still doesn't have the true clear identity as to what we'd expect it to be. For example, yes, USB, we all know what USB is there in terms of what it's supposed to deliver us, but in terms of the protocol of 3.1 and then Type-C as a connector, which is what this new development is on the end of it, it's now delivering a lot more to us as a connector and a technology than USB 3 was, as we know it, because it started at USB 2, well, it was actually 1.1, then 2, we've got 3.1 now. Unfortunately, just to clear up any issues there, if anyone's got some questions, USB 3 was generation 1 of 3.1, and USB 3.1 is generation 2 of 3.1. So it gets quite complicated as we go along. But essentially, the difference between them is where we all settled on USB 3 delivering 5 gigabytes of data in terms of speed. USB 3.1 generation 2 is giving us 10 gigabytes, so it's a massive amount of data in a very short period of time, albeit only 1 meter. As soon as you go over a 1 meter length of cable, you're down to 5 gigabytes again. So this is where the technology is getting there, but it's not quite there. It'll also deliver you power as well. I believe there's up to 100 watts of power available for you on that one cable. And then, of course, you've got your HD video coming down that line now as well. So you've got those 3 core technologies being delivered down the one cable into a universal Type-C connector.
I think, is this the essential thing with cabling generally, that now we're asking the thing to do almost impossible tasks, which is, power, all kinds of media. We're bunging down the line with all this stuff, aren't we? We're trying to connect everything, shove it from A to B very simply, in a way that's secure. It protects everything, so with no interruption, whatever we voiced, audio, data, whatever it might be. And that, the confusing element is actually we seem to be facing, obviously, inevitably, a variety of cabling standards doing different things. I mean, are these ever going to converge into what we thought was Ethernet and power over? And just in the computing world, we had just one pipe for everything. We had multi-purpose networks, MPLS, everything went down the same pipe. I mean,
I think for audio, it's a very short answer. It will all be Ethernet-based cable.
And if we just look at the first part of the question, where we're looking at USB Type-C and Thunderbolt, well,
I'm assuming everyone knows what Thunderbolt is, the Apple...
Thunderbolt being another connector.
The fast Apple connector.
Yeah, on the Apple side of things. Is Apple going to dismiss Thunderbolt for USB Type-C? Well, I don't think so, based on the fact that Thunderbolt can do 4 times the speed of data that USB Type-C can do. So based on that fact straight away, they're going to carry on with that because they're into the whole gaming world of things as well, aren't they?
Yeah.
So that's where that counts. So you're going to have a multiple going forward.
Is this where there's going to be some crossover between broadcast and AV with all this sort of stuff? I mean, they're using similar sort of technologies for storage and distribution. Are those two technologies going to coincide or use the same sort of pipe?
Well, I think this is where the whole question about SDI comes in, and HD SDI, because can SDI be the platform going forward from a broadcast perspective? And the answer simply at the moment is no. And the reason being is it's all to do with licensing. Majority of the licensing that's around SDI is on the commercial and professional products, and SDI doesn't go into the kind of handheld units and devices that you'd expect day-to-day people to use. Most of those are going to be HDMI, so that's where HDMI is taking the lead, and SDI stays professional.